Welcome to the realm where reality intertwines with the inexplicable, where the living and the dead find common ground. In this world, we often find places that seem to defy the laws of nature and logic, places where the veil between the living and the dead seems to be thin. These are the haunted places, the locations that are steeped in tales of ghosts, spirits, and eerie occurrences that send shivers down the spine. Hauntings, though chilling, are fascinating. They provide a glimpse into the unknown, a peek into the other side. They blur the line between the tangible world and the unseen, between what we know and what we fear. But what if I were to tell you that these stories are not mere figments of imagination, that they are not just tales spun around a campfire to give you a good scare? What if I told you that these stories are based on true events? Yes, you heard it right. The stories we are about to delve into are not just tales. They are accounts of experiences of real people in real places. From the demon of Brownsville Road to the haunting of the Sally House, from the Myrtles Plantation to the Queen Mary luxury ocean liner, from the Tower of London to the Eastern State Penitentiary, from the Stanley Hotel to the Hotel MacDonald, each of these places holds a chilling tale of its own. Each has a story to tell, a secret to reveal, a mystery to unravel. So brace yourself. Open your mind to the possibility of the unknown. Let your imagination take flight, but remember to keep your feet grounded to reality. For these stories are not for the faint-hearted. They are intriguing, they are chilling, they are real. Step lightly as we embark on this journey, for we tread upon the unseen. Our first stop is at a seemingly ordinary suburban home, the Brownsville Roadhouse. Nestled in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, this quaint abode seems like a picture-perfect slice of Americana. But for the Cranmer family who moved in during the late 80s, it was anything but ordinary. The house on Brownsville Road was a place where their American dream turned into a chilling nightmare. Within this home, an invisible tenant resided, a so-called demon that seemed hell-bent on wreaking havoc on the Cranmers' lives. The family's experiences were far from the usual creaking doors and fleeting shadows. They were subjected to a terrifying spectacle of paranormal activity that would make even the bravest souls shudder. Imagine, if you will, blood mysteriously seeping from the walls, an unseen force attacking family members, leaving behind physical signs of aggression. Electronic devices would turn on and off, unaided by human hands. Objects would fly across rooms, propelled by an unseen force. It wasn't just a haunting, it was a full-fledged malevolent entity that seemed to have claimed the Brownsville Roadhouse as its own. The Cranmers were not ones to back down, though. They stood their ground, determined to reclaim their home from this demonic intruder. Their journey led them to unearth the house's dark past, which traced back to a Native American massacre and a possible gravesite. Speculations rose that these horrific events could have opened a door to the other side, allowing this demon to cross over into our world. Seeking help, the Cranmer family turned to religious figures, paranormal experts, and even a renowned demonologist. After countless exorcisms and blessings, they eventually managed to quell the demonic presence. But it was a battle that took years, a battle that pushed them to their limits. The Brownsville Roadhouse has since been quiet, the demonic presence seemingly banished. But the memories of those haunting years linger on, imprinted on the walls of the house and the minds of the Cranmer family. They've shared their story with the world, a chilling reminder of the thin veil that separates our world from the unknown. The Cranmer's tale reminds us that sometimes the demons we face are right in our own homes. We now turn our attention to Atchison, Kansas, home to the infamous Sally House. Nestled in the heart of America, Atchison seems like the last place you'd expect to find a house that sends shivers down the spine of even the bravest souls. Yet within its quiet streets lies the Sally House, a place so steeped in eerie tales and spine-tingling occurrences that it has become a beacon for those seeking to experience the paranormal. The haunting of the Pickman family, who lived in the house in the early 90s, is perhaps the most chilling chapter in the Sally House's dark history. The Pickmans reported a series of inexplicable events that still baffle paranormal investigators. From objects moving on their own to unexplained scratches appearing on their bodies, the family felt a relentless, unseen force was toying with them. But it was the apparition of a little girl named Sally that truly terrified the Pickmans. Sightings of Sally were frequent, and she was often seen playing with the Pickman's baby or standing at the foot of their bed in the middle of the night. Sally, it seems, was not just a harmless child spirit. She had a darker, more malevolent side. The Pickmans discovered this when they found their dog cowering in the corner, its eyes wide with terror, as if it had seen something beyond comprehension. Their child's toys would mysteriously move around, and they would hear the laughter of a little girl echo through the house. The most terrifying incident occurred when Tony Pickman, the father, felt a sharp sting on his back. Upon inspection, he found deep, fresh scratches that seemed to be made by a small hand. Paranormal investigators who have visited the Sally house over the years have reported similar incidents. Electronic equipment would malfunction or completely die. Cold spots would appear out of nowhere, and many have claimed to see the apparition of a little girl, often accompanied by an overwhelming sense of dread. The Sally house's history is shrouded in mystery. Some believe Sally was a young girl who died in the house during a failed surgery. Others speculate she might be a malevolent entity, masquerading as an innocent child. Regardless of her true nature, Sally has made her presence known in a way few spirits have. Today, the Sally house stands empty, a chilling monument to its unsettling past. Despite its quaint exterior, those who know its history give it a wide berth. The laughter of a little girl still echoes in the minds of those who have dared to step inside, a haunting reminder of the house's spectral inhabitant. The Sally house stands as a chilling reminder that not all child's play is innocent. Next, we delve into the deep south, to the historic Myrtles Plantation. Nestled under a canopy of ancient oaks in St. Francisville, Louisiana, lies the Myrtles Plantation. A sprawling estate built in 1796, this grand old dame whispers tales of the past through her creaking boards and rustling leaves. But the tales are not all benign. The Myrtles is often touted as one of the most haunted places in America, with numerous ghosts said to roam its grounds. Among the spectral inhabitants, one figure stands out: a young slave girl named Chloe. Her story is a tragic tale of manipulation, betrayal, and ultimately death. Some say that Chloe's spirit still lingers, forever tied to the plantation that became her prison. Chloe served in the household of Judge Clark Woodruff, the plantation's owner. It's said that she was coerced into an unwanted relationship with the judge. When Chloe feared her relationship with the judge was waning, she began eavesdropping on his private conversations in a desperate attempt to maintain her precarious position. Caught in the act by the judge, Chloe was punished by having one of her ears cut off. From that day forward, she wore a green turban to hide her disfigurement. In a twisted plan to regain the judge's favor, Chloe baked a birthday cake laced with poisonous oleander leaves. Her intention was to make the family slightly ill, then nurse them back to health. But her plan backfired. The judge's wife and 2 of their children ate the cake and died agonizing deaths. Chloe's guilt was discovered, and the other slaves, fearing retribution from the judge, took matters into their own hands. They hung Chloe from a tree on the plantation grounds. Her body was then weighed down with rocks and thrown into the Mississippi River. But death was not the end for Chloe. Visitors to the Myrtles have reported sightings of a young girl wearing a green turban, wandering the plantation grounds, or peering through the windows of the estate. Her apparition has even been caught on camera, appearing as a spectral image in the reflection of a window. Others report the faint smell of oleander blossoms wafting through the house, a chilling reminder of Chloe's deadly plan. Children's laughter echoes from empty rooms, and spectral figures are seen in the twilight hours, their ghostly forms illuminated by the moonlight. From the spectral figure of a young girl in a green turban to the phantom smell of oleander, the Myrtles Plantation is steeped in paranormal activity. The echoes of its past reverberate through the halls, a chilling testament to the lives lived and lost within its walls. The Myrtles Plantation, a place where history intertwines with the supernatural, where every creaking floorboard could be a footstep from the past, and every gust of wind carries a whisper from those long gone. The Myrtles Plantation, where history and horror dance in the moonlight. From land, we move to the sea, aboard the Queen Mary. Built in the early 1930s, the Queen Mary was a beacon of luxury. But beneath the glitz and glamour lies a different story, one that is steeped in mystery, intrigue, and an eerie sense of the supernatural. This grand ocean liner, now permanently docked in Long Beach, California, has a past as rich and layered as the many coats of paint on her hull. During her time at sea, she sailed on over 1,000 transatlantic voyages, carrying some 2.5 million passengers. She was a symbol of elegance and sophistication, a floating palace where the rich and famous could mingle and enjoy the finer things in life. But when World War II broke out, this opulent playground was transformed into a Trojan horse of war. The Queen Mary was painted a ghostly grey and refitted to transport troops, earning her the nickname the Grey Ghost. She was a silent spectre, slipping through the icy Atlantic waters, evading enemy ships. The end of the war saw the Queen Mary return to her original role as a luxury liner, but some say she never really left her ghostly past behind. Over the years, countless guests and staff have reported strange occurrences on board. They've heard children laughing where there are none, seen spectral figures gliding down the corridors, and felt cold spots in the middle of a warm day. The ship's engine room is a particular hotbed of paranormal activity. Here, in the bowels of the ship, a young sailor was tragically crushed to death during a routine drill. His ghost, it seems, is still on duty, with many reporting seeing a figure in white overalls, forever fixing the engines of a ship that will never sail again. Then there's the infamous room B340. It's said to be so haunted that it was sealed off for several years. Guests have reported waking up to find the room in disarray, taps turning on and off by themselves, and even the covers being pulled off the bed. But perhaps the most chilling tale is that of the Lady in White. She's been seen dancing alone in the ship's ballroom, her ethereal form shimmering in the dim light. Some say she's a former passenger, eternally waiting for a dance partner who never arrives. These stories, and many more, have led to the Queen Mary being dubbed one of the most haunted places in America. It's a place where the echoes of the past refuse to be silenced, where every creak and groan tells a tale of a bygone era. The Queen Mary, a vessel where the line between the living and the dead seems to blur. Our journey takes us across the Atlantic to the historic Tower of London. This ancient fortress, steeped in centuries of bloodshed and treachery, unfolds a chilling narrative that transcends the barriers of time. To delve into the tower's history is to wade through a river of red. Constructed in the wake of the Norman conquest of England, the tower has served as a royal palace, a treasury, and most notoriously, a prison. Its imposing stone walls have harbored countless tales of intrigue, power, and betrayal, etching an indelible mark on England's past. Among its infamous inmates was Anne Boleyn, the second wife of King Henry VIII. Accused of high treason, she met her untimely end at the Tower in 1536. But it seems her spirit is not quite ready to relinquish its hold on the living realm. Visitors and staff alike have reported sightings of her apparition, a headless figure wandering the tower's corridors or near the site of her execution. But Anne Boleyn is not the only spectral resident of the tower. The White Tower, the oldest part of the complex, is said to be haunted by the White Lady. Her perfume-laden presence often precedes her appearance, and she's been known to wave at groups of schoolchildren. The princes in the tower, Edward V and his younger brother Richard, are believed to have been murdered here. Their childlike apparitions have been seen huddled together, a palpable air of fear surrounding them. Then, there's the chilling tale of the Salt Tower's phantom bear. In the early 19th century, a sentry reported being approached by a monstrous bear. When his bayonet passed through the apparition with no effect, the guard reportedly died of shock. The Bloody Tower, despite its ominous name, is reportedly visited by a more benign spirit, that of Sir Walter Raleigh. Imprisoned in the tower for 13 years, Raleigh has been seen wandering the place that was his home and his prison. These spectral sightings are but fragments of the tower's haunted history. Perhaps these spirits are drawn to the place of their violent ends, forever etching their stories into the tower's ancient stones. Or maybe they're simply echoes of the past, reverberating through the centuries, reminding us of the bloody history that shaped a nation. the Tower of London, where the echoes of the past refuse to be silenced. Prepare to enter the foreboding walls of the Eastern State Penitentiary. In the heart of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, lies a chilling monument to mankind's darker side. This is the Eastern State Penitentiary, a prison that was once the most famous and expensive in the world. Erected in the early 19th century, this prison was an architectural marvel of its time, designed not just to confine, but to psychologically unnerve its inhabitants. The penitentiary's founders believed that solitude would lead to penitence, hence the term penitentiary. Prisoners were kept in complete isolation, each with their own private cell and small exercise yard. The silence was deafening, the loneliness unbearable. Some say that it was this brutal regimen of isolation that drove many of its inmates to madness. But the penitentiary's chilling legacy doesn't end with its history. Over the years, there have been countless reports of eerie occurrences within its crumbling walls. Whispers in the dark, footsteps echoing through empty corridors, shadows moving of their own accord. These are just the tip of the iceberg. There's the tale of Cell Block 12, infamous for echoing disembodied laughter. Then there's Cell Block 6, where shadowy figures are said to dart along the walls. Cell Block 4 is known for ghostly faces that materialize on cell walls, while the most chilling tale might be that of Gary Johnson, a locksmith who, during a routine lock repair in the 90s, felt an inexplicable force grip him, unable to move while ghostly faces swirled around him. The penitentiary is also said to be the haunting ground of some of its former infamous inmates. Al Capone, Chicago's notorious gangster, was one such prisoner. Capone, who spent 8 months at Eastern State in 1929, reportedly complained of being haunted by the ghost of James Clark, one of the victims of the notorious St. Valentine's Day massacre. And then there's the tale of Willie Sutton, a notorious bank robber who spent 11 years in the penitentiary. Legend has it that Sutton's spirit still roams the prison, forever replaying his daring 1945 escape through a tunnel dug with spoons. These chilling stories and the penitentiary's ominous atmosphere have attracted thrill seekers and paranormal investigators from around the world. Even today, visitors often report a sense of unease, as if being watched by unseen eyes. Many claim to have captured ghostly figures in photographs, or to have heard unexplainable sounds. Despite its closure in the 70s, Eastern State Penitentiary remains an imposing monument to man's darker side. Its decaying walls and chilling tales continue to haunt those who dare to step inside. As we leave the ominous shadow of this haunting edifice, we are reminded of the prison's grim legacy and the chilling tales that have emerged from its past. Eastern State Penitentiary, a chilling testament to man's capacity for cruelty. We now check into the Stanley Hotel, the inspiration for Stephen King's The Shining. Perched upon a hill in Estes Park, Colorado, the Grand Stanley Hotel stands, its white Georgian architecture a stark contrast to the surrounding wilderness. But its beauty holds an eerie allure, as it is said to be one of the most haunted places in America. And it's not just any ghost story that put this hotel on the supernatural map, but the tale of one of the greatest horror novelists of our time, Stephen King. In the late fall of 1974, King and his wife decided to take a short vacation. They found themselves at the Stanley Hotel, and as fate would have it, they were the only guests in the hotel that night. King was staying in room 217 when he had a vivid nightmare. He dreamt of his young son being chased down the corridors by a demonic fire hose. He woke up in a cold sweat, lit a cigarette, and by the time the dawn had broken, the bones for his next novel, The Shining, had been set. But King isn't the only guest who's had hair-raising experiences at the Stanley. The hotel's original owners, F.O. Stanley and his wife Flora, are believed to be permanent guests. Mr. Stanley has been seen in the lobby and the billiard room, which was his favorite place when he was alive. Flora Stanley, a piano player in life, continues her passion in death. Guests and staff often report hearing music from the ballroom, only to find it empty. Then there's room 428. Guests report hearing furniture move and seeing a shadowy figure in the corner of their room. A cowboy who was a known womanizer in his life is said to be the ghostly visitor. He seems to have a preference for women, as he's known to kiss female guests as they sleep. And let's not forget about the giggles and footsteps of ghostly children running down the fourth-floor hallway, a remnant from when this floor was an attic where female employees and their children lived. But perhaps the most chilling tale is that of Lucy, a young woman who was reportedly found squatting in the hotel's basement in the 1970s. She was asked to leave and later found frozen to death in the surrounding wilderness. Since then, she's been heard humming in the basement, and she's known to play tricks with the lights. These tales are just a taste of the spectral experiences at the Stanley Hotel. From famous authors to unsuspecting guests, the spirits seem to have a penchant for making their presence known. The Stanley Hotel, where every room holds a ghostly secret. Our final stop is the Grand Hotel McDonald in Edmonton, Alberta. A regal edifice of chateau-style architecture, this hotel has been welcoming guests since the Roaring Twenties. It's a place of elegance and refinement, but also of chilling tales and whispered legends. The most haunting of these stories is centered on the 6th floor and a spectral bride said to roam the stairways. The 6th floor of the Hotel McDonald has a reputation for being especially eerie. Guests who've stayed on this floor have reported a wide range of unsettling experiences. Some have heard inexplicable noises in the middle of the night, like the distant sound of a party, laughter echoing down the empty hallways, the clinking of glasses, and the soft murmur of conversations. Yet, when they step out of their rooms to investigate, they find the hallways deserted, the sounds fading into silence. Others have reported a sudden drop in temperature, a chill that seems to seep into their very bones, making their breath visible in the air. Even on warm summer nights, this inexplicable cold persists, leading many to believe it's the mark of a spectral presence. Some have even stated that they've seen ghostly figures in their peripheral vision, only to disappear when they turn to look directly. But the most chilling tale of all is that of the spectral bride. She's been sighted numerous times, her ghostly figure gliding down the grand staircases and through the opulent halls. Dressed in an ethereal wedding gown, she's said to be in a state of perpetual sorrow, her face hidden by a bridal veil. Some say she fell to her death from the hotel's 6th floor on her wedding night, and now she roams the hotel in a never-ending search for her lost love. The staff at the hotel have their own tales to tell. They speak of lights flickering on and off, of doors opening and closing on their own, and of a general sense of unease that sometimes descends upon the hotel. Some have even claimed to have seen the spectral bride herself, her presence leaving a cold trail in her wake. Despite the chilling tales and the eerie occurrences, the Hotel McDonald continues to be a beloved landmark. It's a place where history and the present intertwine, where grandeur meets the inexplicable, and where some guests, it seems, find the place so inviting that they choose to stay forever. So the next time you find yourself in Edmonton, Alberta, you might want to pay a visit to the Grand Hotel McDonald. Enjoy the opulence, revel in the history, and maybe, just maybe, catch a glimpse of the spectral bride or hear the distant echo of a ghostly party. Hotel McDonald, where some guests seemingly never check out. As we draw the veil over these haunting tales, remember, dear listener, these are not mere stories. They are narratives based on true events that unfolded in the corners of our world, where the ordinary met the extraordinary. In the heart of Pennsylvania, the demon of Brownsville Road lurked, casting a dark shadow over the lives of those who dared to dwell within its reach. A seemingly innocent house on a quiet street became a battleground between the living and the unseen. Following that, we journeyed to the Sally House in Atchison, Kansas. Its walls echo with the eerie laughter of a little girl named Sally, who continues to play her ghostly games in the realm of the living. The Myrtles plantation in Louisiana then beckoned us, its grandeur hiding a chilling past. The spirits of those wronged in life still wander its halls, seeking justice or perhaps a final peace. We then set sail on the Queen Mary, a luxury ocean liner turned spectral vessel. The phantom passengers aboard this ship are evidence that some journeys never truly end. Our voyage took us across the pond to the Tower of London next. Its stone walls, steeped in centuries of history, hold tales of royal ghosts and phantom ravens, forever entwined with England's past. The Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia was our next stop. Its eerie silence belies the spectral inmates that continue to serve their eternal sentences. We then checked into the Stanley Hotel, the eerie inspiration for Stephen King's The Shining. Its ethereal guests refused to check out, making it a permanent residence for the spectral. Our final stop was the Grand Hotel MacDonald in Edmonton, Alberta. This opulent establishment plays host to a spectral bellman, forever committed to his duties, even in death. These tales, chilling as they are a reminder that our world is more than what we see. So, share your thoughts, your experiences. Have you ever encountered the extraordinary in the ordinary? In every corner of the world, in the most ordinary of places, the extraordinary awaits. Until next time, keep your eyes open and your wits about you. Good night.